And go ahead and mute your mic just to make sure that we don't have any background noise that prevents others from hearing what's being said. And when we do have Q&A, which we will, please remember to unmute to speak. Just so you know, right now we're in a Microsoft Teams meeting, and you should see a toolbar that you can hover over to find it, maybe at the top, maybe in the middle. I'm not sure where it is for you. I think for you it may be at the top. But you have all of your options here. Just locate the chat. You can also locate the hand raise, because that's where you can raise your hand if you have a question, and also locate the mute button so that you can mute and unmute yourself in the camera. Those are like the important pieces for participating today. And of course, again, the meeting chat. The meeting chat is a persistent chat. So when you click on it, it expands a window here on the right-hand side. And then this window, you will be able to type your chat. But after the meeting ends, when you're in Microsoft Teams and you are looking on the left-hand side on what's called the app bar, if you click chat, you'll still be able to see everything that was discussed in this chat, and it will be listed by the title of this meeting. And the title of this meeting, I believe, is called Social Continuity. So you'll be able to see the chat right here, even after the meeting ends. Okay, so just so that I want to make sure you really get fully immersed in the webinar and participate in the activities. So obviously you're viewing the webinar on your computer. Hopefully that's where you are. But I also want you to use your smartphone, because there are going to be some activities where I want you to participate, and it'll be a lot easier if you're able to scan the QR codes that you see on the screen so that you can participate in some of these activities. As you know, when you're doing online webinars with these kind of with these conferencing tools, whether it's Teams or Zoom, there are a lot of times that you cannot do certain interactive elements within the platform itself. There are certain limitations, and so you may have to use tools outside of the platform to have that engagement within your online classes. And so that's why I'm asking if you can use maybe a mobile device. I'll try to share the links for whatever it is that we're doing in the chat, but if you have that mobile device handy, you can scan that QR code and it'll take you right to the activities. Okay, and so just a quick intro. My name is Michelle Singh. Like Audrey says, you can look me up on Twitter and LinkedIn at SinghNBCT, and the QR codes that you see there both take you to my Twitter and my LinkedIn. I'm a 15-year educator with Miami-Dade County Public Schools. So I have been in the classroom for 10 years, and then I worked at the district for about 5 years. All right, so one of the things that I like to do is make sure that, you know, because this is a 5-part series and I want to make sure you get as much out of it as you can. There's a strategy called Note Catcher, or that's the name that, you know, we're using. Basically, it's note taking throughout the webinar. So I'm sharing with you a link to some interactive notes, and you're able to go. You can either scan it on your device. I'm going to put the link right now in the chat for you, so that you can just click on the link and open it up. But this takes you to a document that you can download yourself. So if you click on it, you'll be able to download your own copy. If you go to that shortcut link that you see there, the bit.ly link, you'll be able to download your copy, and it's a Word document, and you can use it to take notes. And we'll have some note-taking time embedded within the presentation as well. I'm trying to share some things in the chat with you while I'm presenting, so if some things come out a little big, please forgive that. Okay, I see a few more people joined. I see some familiar faces. I want to give a shout out to one of my former students. I see Mr. Charles Smith is a new teacher on here, and he's a former student of mine, so welcome. Okay. Also, all right, so let's get right into the content. So I'm multitasking. If you see me, you'll see that I have 3 screens going at the same time in 2 different devices, because I want to make sure I drop things in the chat for you when necessary. So at this time, we should all be familiar with the terminology continuity, educational continuity, because it's basically the continuation of learning during school closures, which we are having. We had since March, and we're going to continue it. So educational continuity is a framework for teaching and learning that we have to use during this time because of our school closure. So it deals with the processes and the procedures and the decisions and the activities that we implement in our classes during school closure. Okay. Now, when we have school closures and this distance learning, we have to have changes in the way we communicate, collaborate, connect, and deliver our content with students. There are definitely changes with the way that's going to look in online learning, but as educators, we have the capacity to really soften the negative effects for students when they are participating in online learning. Like, there's lots of research that suggests that students' social emotional learning is truly affected by the remote learning or the online environment. And then, of course, the parents and the families struggle as it relates to communication and that support. And we can definitely put some structures in place to help support the parents and help facilitate communication, consistent communication with parents. Okay, we can have activities within our lessons that foster relationship building. We can have activities that are engaging and that has that SEL component, social emotional learning component, and that fosters those higher order thinking skills, or HOTS as they call it, and of course encourages metacognition. And that's where these five educational continuity options come into play, because when we can implement pieces of social, familial, emotional, cognitive, and academic continuity, we're able to meet the students and support them as a whole learner. Okay, not just their academic needs, but their social emotional learning needs. And we're also able to support the families as they help their children during distance learning. So today we're talking about the three that you see circled. We're talking about social, we're talking about familial, and we're talking about emotional. Join us again on Thursday to talk about cognitive and academic. So before we get started, I know you know this, but just to throw it out there, there are activities that you'll have to do in these learning environments that are for synchronous situations and asynchronous situations. And you'll see how some of these things that I talk about apply to one or the other or both. Okay. Another thing that we also absolutely need for success is to have a single platform that can foster true collaboration and communication. We have platforms that you can have discussions, breakout rooms, live meetings like what we're doing right now, where you can have assignments and announcements and file sharing and even file editing and collaboration, and being able to integrate other applications. So if you have a platform, a single platform that can do all of those things, your distance learning, online learning environment is already set for success. And just to throw it out there, I know that the district is using that new platform, K-12, My School Online. So you may have certain features in that platform. And then I know that you all may have used Microsoft Teams, which meets all of the requirements that you see here on the screen. And right now, again, we are meeting in Microsoft Teams. So let's start with social continuity. What does that? What exactly does that mean? It relates to relationship and trust building between you and your students, but also the student relationships, the student and peer relationships. So you still have to grow that in the online environment, even though it may seem a little challenging. But small and whole group activities can help to develop those or to achieve that social continuity, because relationships are important. Relationships matter. When we are practicing physical distancing, social distancing, we don't have to lose those social and school connections. And it is, again, really critical for us to put things in place that allows for the students to continue to build those relationships in a positive and safe and supporting environment. And we have to really think about those SEL connections that we can make with our curriculum. So what I want you to do is think about something and maybe even make a list. Make a list of some collaborative or small group learning activities that your students may have completed before or you want your students to complete. And as we explore the different options for social continuity, I want you to think of ways that you can do these things online. So I know one activity that I love to do with my students was Socratic seminars. How can that look in an online environment? How does a Socratic seminar look in an online environment? I know what it looks like in the classroom, but what does that look like in the online environment? And you can use tools like Flipgrid, for example, to help with bringing those kinds of activities into the online learning environment. So by a show of hands, how many of you have heard of Flipgrid before? I see one person. I see 3 hands up. Well, I see 6 hands. So, oh, we have a lot of people. Great. That means that you guys have been getting a lot out of these PDs. So we have quite a few people that have heard of Flipgrid. So I am going to actually take you to the Flipgrid site just to show you what Flipgrid is all about. So let me exit this one really quick and go here. Yep. So, okay, I thought we had a question. So here, you go to flipgrid.com, and here on your Flipgrid site, Flipgrid is a video discussion tool. That's pretty much what it is in a nutshell. You can post discussion topics, and your students can respond to those topics in video. And so let me just show you really quick what that can look like. So you can post a topic, okay? So let's look at this topic. So I have a question here, and then the students respond in video as well. And so it really fosters that the social interaction, because the students can see each other's responses, and they can also respond to each other in video and comment and all of that. They can do all of that in Flipgrid. Something else I want to point out in Flipgrid, you have topics and you have groups. You can categorize. So like if you have period 1, period 2, period 3, you can set up different groups and have different topics in those groups. I want to just show you around here really quick to the Discovery Library, because Flipgrid has a lot of new updates that they've just released, and that includes their partnership with vendors. For example, they have partnerships with BBC, they have partnerships with Nearpod, if you use Nearpod, code.org, so you can already find lessons that have been built by these partners and just add them to your Flipgrid library. So there's no starting from scratch. You can search 25,000 topics that already exist. So let's say I wanted to find a Socratic seminar, because remember I told you earlier that Socratic seminars were my favorite thing. I love doing Socratic seminars. I do a search for Socratic seminar here, and I can see other teachers who have done Socratic seminars, and I can click on on what they have. And if I want to add it to my library to now give it to the students, I can do that here. So Flipgrid is a terrific tool because it does foster that social connection for the students. And you don't have to start from scratch. You can just pull from whatever you want here in the Flipgrid. Okay, and then you have other tabs here. Another thing I want to point out is over here where it says Shorts. Shorts is your own camera in Flipgrid. So if you wanted to record a video for your students, you can record a video and then grab the link for the Flipgrid and just send it to them. So if you wanted to give them like a little message, you could just record it outside of a topic just using the Shorts camera. So you could see your recording options. One thing that I really love about the Shorts camera, you can upload a video, you can mirror your video. So if you wanted to flip it, record screen. So if you wanted to like record your computer screen and do like a little tutorial, you could do that. But take a look at this. Take a look at all these effects. Okay, filters. Look at that. So you can add all of these elements to your video. There are filters, there are frames. So look at this. This one I really like. So if one of your assignments was for the students to do a newscast, you can add these frames. Okay, I'm going to show you another one that's going to really, really be cool. I'm going to click here on boards. Okay, and I'm going to choose the regular notebook paper. So look, I have a board here, but look what happens when I split my screen. So a student could be on one side talking, and then they could be using the draw tool to explain a project or whatever it is. They can add text, they can add emojis, images, and they can do all of that while talking on one side and writing on the other. I'm right here. My camera's not facing it's facing the wall. So that it's super cool, with the things that they have built into the Flipgrid. Let me flip my camera so that the students can really have fun using it. So I wanted to just show that to you for Flipgrid so that you could see what the possibilities are with students using Flipgrid. So it's a great way to use this tool to bring that social, emotional learning connection for your students. So I'm gonna X out of here because you saw the Flipgrid, and I'm gonna go back here. Okay, so how many of you, show of hands, want to try Flipgrid out if you have not already done so? Awesome. Okay, so Flipgrid is a tool you can add to your toolbox. So definitely write that down. And maybe I think Audrey, I think there may be a Flipgrid webinar coming up as well. And Audrey, I forgot to do that activity that I wanted to do to start. I just got right into the webinar. I'll do it with you on the Thursday webinar. Okay. Wednesday. I keep saying Thursday because I'm used to this Tuesday, Thursday thing with us. It's on Wednesday. All right. So I am going to talk about just 5 things that you can do to achieve social continuity. And we'll start with virtual icebreakers and celebrations. So on the screen, there are 3 examples of virtual icebreakers that you can use. The first one is really simple, right? Students find a place on the map. They describe why they want to go to this place, or talk about the location if they have visited it. So it could be a quick way to start your class, just to get the students familiar and with each other, and it also gets them learning about each other, even if the icebreakers are like really quick. So you put a map, and then students can answer in the chat, or you can have some students share out. The second example here, students locate an object in their surrounding and use it to symbolize some aspect of their self. So maybe they find like a rubber band, and the rubber band is to talk about how flexible they are. They use that symbolism to describe, to relate that object to themselves. So again, they're learning about each other, and you're learning about them, and they're learning about you as well. Number 3 says, the teacher reads a quote, and you could pick a quote related to whatever the lesson is, and they ask students to relate to the quote or connect it to what they're learning. So this could be a book they're reading, or about a historical figure they're studying, or whatever it is. So these are just 3 examples of quick icebreakers that you can definitely incorporate in your learning. And if you're using Microsoft Teams or some kind of learning management system, this can also be done where the students can just respond and still be able to read and learn about each other and reply to each other. So you're seeing here an example of a Teams channel for icebreakers where the teacher will post, and then the students just respond, and they're learning from each other. Even though they're not in a synchronous meeting, they can do this type of activity asynchronously as well. Okay, virtual scavenger hunts and flip hunts. I love these. There is a scavenger hunt version of a Flipgrid, and that's what the FLIPHUNT is. And these activities are you know, they foster that challenges for students, engagement, exploration, and of course shared responsibility, which is really important for them to be able to work together and produce a product and complete a task together, each person having that responsibility. So what is a flip hunt? It's an academic adventure, and a flip hunt is where you would create those video topics and ask different questions for the students to record videos too. It's a great way to differentiate because each of your questions can tie into a different level. And then it's also a great way to incorporate the different learning styles because you can have activities that include movement, that include explanation, that include creativity, that include like critical thinking. So it's a great way for differentiation and that kind of multimodal presentation of content and options for students. So here's an example of a Halloween flip hunt that I actually found in the Flipgrid Disco library. And so you can see some of these examples here, like one is interviewing. One of them is explain if the number 31 is a prime number, find a skeleton and identify at least 5 bones, draw your best Frankenstein monster. So there, and one of them is researching the history. So you can see that each activity targets different skills that the students have to respond to. So in this flip hunt, each question, the students are either working in groups to answer each question, or they can do it individually. So that's what a flip hunt is. Here's a more practical one, right? This is a division flip hunt, and this actually was created by Dr. Leslie Cresson, and that's her Twitter. So she did this division flip hunt with her students, and what I like about this is it is challenging, but it is also, it includes all the elements of what a flip hunt should have, with that movement and the critical thinking and being able to explain and show. It does target like all the learners. So when you're creating a flip hunt, you want to keep in mind, you want the students to be able to either work together or work individually, but you want to be able to make sure that there is that physical activity involved. There are questions that require the students to use creativity, critical thinking, the collaborative skills, and explanatory tasks. So think of some ways that you, or ideas that you have that you could possibly use a Flipgrid for. Okay, and if you have your mobile device, here, you'll be able to scan this, and this is a link to, and what I'm trying to do in this webinar is give you information, but also show you some tools that you can use for activities that are similar to what we're doing. So in this activity, it links to a Nearpod Collaborate board. A Nearpod Collaborate board is like, I don't know if you're familiar with Padlet, but it's similar to a Padlet where if the students are responding in a chat, and I'm going to put the link in the chat. If the students are responding in the chat, it's a little difficult for them to see each other's responses because they won't see it on the screen unless you put it on the screen for them. But if you incorporate like a Collaborate board, for example, you're able to show it on your screen. Okay, so I can actually go here to the Collaborate board, open it up, and then as you all type in your responses, you would enter your name. As you all type in your responses, you'll see them populate here on the board. And this is a great way for the students to see each other's thinking and for you to have discussions. So if anyone wants to go on that link that I put in the chat, or if you scan the QR code here, you're going to be taken right here to this Collaborate board where you can respond. And it's just put an idea that you have for a Flipgrid topic. What's your Flipgrid topic idea? What is something that you can take and make it into a flip hunt? Okay, so I'll give you guys like a quick minute to think about that and respond. So again, you can scan. or just click on the link that's in the chat. Okay, so I'm gonna actually go to the board just to see if we have anyone. Okay. I have to go in and sign in. That's why you're not seeing. That's why it's saying it's on hold. So I see Teresa has put in here civil rights surprising facts. That's a great example. So thank you, Charles. Yeah, I have to go in and sign in to my Nearpod to be able to activate the collaborate link. So just trying to show you those different tools. So thank you for trying to participate in that. Okay. All right, so I want to talk to you next about virtual field trips. How many of you have used or heard of Skype in the classroom? Show of hands real quick. You could use the hand feature on the Teams. Skype in the classroom, anyone? I see 2 people so far. Okay, so Skype in the classroom, I'm going to show you 3 things on Skype in the classroom that you can use to integrate virtual field trips with your students. I'm going to go to education.skype.com. Or you could just type in skypeintheclassroom.com and it will redirect you to this site. So it's absolutely free. You go to Skype in the Classroom. It's a free, totally free site. I'm going to show you just some right up here by clicking resources and clicking on educators. When I click on resources and then educators, it's going to load a few things for you. There are 3 things that I want to show you. I want to show you that there are live and on-demand events that come up every week, right? So the on-demand events are recordings that they've already had for events from the past, like they've done things with like Dr. Jane Goodall, they've done things with authors like Henry Winkler. So you can click on these things and you can view the videos for these things, right? You can download even like activity plans and lessons that go with that particular video. So these are all there for free, ready-made. If you're teaching a particular topic, let's say you're teaching the writing process and you want them to hear from an author, you can go here and you can look at what that recording was about, and you can have a virtual field trip with your students, okay? And so these are all on demand. Now they also have live events that occur every week. They do it every Wednesday. I think it's 10 a.m. Pacific time, which would be like what, 3 hours our time, so like maybe 1 p.m. So they have you can see what they have on schedule all the way here to September 23rd. So they have September 2nd. This one is actually the cool one because we have one of our very own Miami natives who is going to be presenting on the migration of the monarchs. This is a session by Ron McGill from Zoo Miami. So absolutely free. All you have to do is go on the site and here's the link to join, and you connect your students. You can have a live meeting during this time, or you can just share the link with the students and tell them to watch it, and then have some questions. There's some activities here, and then you have a discussion about it when you meet during your live session. But it's definitely a great way to have bring in the community, bring people in from outside of the walls of your classroom. So you have live events from Skype in the Classroom, and you have on-demand activities. Now you can also look at their virtual field trips and their guest speakers. So I'm just going to deselect these options because you can actually connect with people live, where you can actually schedule time for these people to come into, with your class, your virtual class, and speak to your students. So you're just searching for guest speaker sessions and virtual field trips related to whatever topic you want, and you would be able to connect with them. by requesting the session and connecting with them over Skype in the classroom. So you have lots of possibilities here to bring in that social continuity with scheduled sessions, with on-demand videos, and with live events through Skype in the classroom. Okay, I wanted to show this to you really quick because, and you can actually scan this and it takes you to an example of the Jane Goodall video. But if, let's say you decide that you want to show a video from the on-demand lessons, you can use an app like Nearpod, and you can use, they have a new feature called the interactive video that basically allows you to add a video from, let's say, YouTube, or upload a video from your device, and then it will, you can embed questions within the video. So as the students are watching the video, there are questions that you can put for them to answer. So like when they first, like this is a multiple choice question that you've embedded in the video that the students have to answer, okay? And so when they get to certain points in the video, you can embed these questions at different points. And so the video now is interactive. It's not just them watching a video and watching a video for 15 minutes. You can have checkpoints in the video for them if you would like. And this, what I'm using is Nearpod. You can sign up for a free version of Nearpod and use that interactive video feature. Okay, there's also Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle is also another app that does that interactivity with videos. And you all have access to Microsoft Stream, which is through your Office 365 through Miami-Dade, and Microsoft Stream is a video service that also allows for interactivity through Microsoft Forms. Okay, so I'm throwing lots of little tools out there to you, and as a reminder, mark your calendars for September 2nd, because that's when Ron McGill is going to present about the migration of the monarchs. Okay. All right, transitioning now. How else can we achieve social continuity? Through virtual circle time and storytelling. This is especially important for the littles. And there are 3 ways that you can do this, right? Around the circle sharing, where all members say something about a topic. Partner or small group sharing, where you could use breakout rooms or just, you know, have the students pair up with a parent that's there to talk, or dialogue sharing. One student presents something about a story and then asks for responses from the other class. So this is really geared toward the littles. These suggestions here for having that virtual circle time, because you're not physically with them and you're not going to be able to see them every morning, but you can certainly do something like this to, you know, to still have that element in your class. Okay. Another thing that you can do to have that social connection with students is through digital breakouts. Digital breakout rooms, if you're familiar with Microsoft OneNote, you can create these digital breakout rooms with OneNote, and it really fosters problem solving. The students are able to unlock clues. They have that gameplay element. It's true collaboration, true critical thinking, creativity, and communication. I'm going to throw in the chat for you 2 links to the videos. These are really good videos that walk you through how to create the breakout using OneNote. And I want to show you an example as well. So let me throw this in the chat for you. Okay, so, and I'm actually going to play this for you really quick.
Hi, everyone. So today I wanted to give everybody a little peek inside a digital escape room that I made. If you've ever heard of escape rooms, they've kind of become very popular these days with friends and groups of friends. You can go to a place where you have to.
Are you guys able to hear the video? Thumbs up for me? Okay.
to solve a whole bunch of clues in order to escape a room within a particular time. You can actually create something like this similarly for your students, and you can also do it digitally, which is what I have up on my screen. Digital escape rooms are kind of fun for the students to do in a variety of different formats, but I designed mine in OneNote, and I'm going to show you how to build one of these very simply using OneNote and how to distribute it to your students. So you can see, for example, what I have on my screen is one related to social studies, and you can create this for pretty much any content area. And mine is in more of a narrative story type of escape room, so the students will actually be putting themselves time traveling through ancient Egypt, and they have to figure out how to get back into the present day. I've seen escape rooms where math teachers have put math problems one on each section in a OneNote notebook, and they get increasingly harder, and they have to get through each one of these problems in order to get to the end. So these can be done in teams, they can be done individually. It's a great way for students to review or to learn new content, and it brings sort of a gaming into the school element. So the one that you're looking at right here is one I designed on ancient Egypt, and if you've read any of what I have on the screen, you'll see that the students are time traveling, and their time traveling machines get stuck. They get stuck in ancient.
Okay, so I want to actually jump into an example and show you one here, and I saw comments saying that this is from Christine. Your students have lots of problems accessing OneNote. Just note that the OneNote that you're going to create for the breakout is different than your class notebook. So the access that the students have to the regular OneNote that you'll create for your breakout will probably more than likely not be the case because it's not in a class notebook. Okay, if you watch those two videos with the links that I just shared with you in the chat, she walks you through how to create the breakouts and those steps. Okay, so this is you want to have a regular welcome page with some kind of activity, and because the students have to participate in an activity to unlock the other pages. That's the whole point. You have different sections with content that you want the students to review, but you want them to be able to get into it. So if I click it, it tells me it's password protected. So I actually have to have the password to get into the section to be able to unlock it. And in order to do that, I have to basically complete the tasks. So these are my tasks. These are my hints. This is my activity. I have to actually complete a flip grid. And when I do all that, here's a hint to what my password is to unlock the next section. So I'm just going to cheat because I actually have my passwords. You wouldn't do this. This is only for me so that I remember what I put as the password. Only because once you set the password, you have to remember it because you won't be able to access it if you forget it. Okay, so I'm going to put it and then no thanks. Okay, and look, I've unlocked this section because I entered the correct password. So this is what your students will see, and whenever they unlock sections, you can put pages with content or anything that you want them to do, and then you have the hint to the next one, and then they have to enter the passcode to get to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and at the very end, you have, whatever your activity is or whatever their prize is or whatever badge they've earned. Because it's kind of like a fun activity, you want to associate something with it that they win, right? When they unlock these codes. Could be points or, passes, free pass, I don't know, whatever you can associate with it. But yeah, I just wanted to show that to you because you could definitely bring that element of social continuity in by using these OneNote breakouts. Okay, so we've talked about 5 things that you can do for social continuity. Think of the activities that you wrote down when I first asked you the question, to think of some social activities that you do with your kids. How can you make adjustments to them so that you can apply them to the setting of your online class? How can you achieve social continuity during online learning? So this is a question for you to think about, to add to your note catcher. that I shared with you earlier today. And of course, you can always access it here by clicking on that note catcher. Okay, so at this time, if I'm gonna before we get into the next part, I'm gonna open it up for questions in the chat. Do you all have any questions for me in the chat, or you could come off mute real quick so we can answer some questions. Okay, I think we're good. Mark?
Are we going to get a copy of this?
You'll have the webinar is being recorded. Yeah, absolutely. So you'll have the webinar recording.
So you send that to us?
No, Audrey posts the webinars on the Education Fund YouTube page, so you can access the webinars there.
Great, great, because it's fast and it's a lot of information. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So familial continuity, you guys ready for that? How can we help our parents, help our kids, our students? So we're going to talk about a few things before we get to the 5 examples. Just a few things that we really want to make sure we consider when we're thinking about how to address our parents. Okay, so I know a lot of parents that I've spoken with said that they had lots of challenges when they had multiple children, right? Because you had one child's teacher who was using 3 platforms, and then another child's teacher who was using 2 different platforms. And so the parents had to keep track of all the information from all the teachers on like 20 different platforms. That can be very overwhelming for the parents. So try to streamline your communication with the parents by using one single platform. Another thing that you can do to help parents is by sharing any kind of information, updates, announcements, expectations, sharing them weekly rather than daily. Again, because they'll be inundated if they have 3 kids and every single day they're getting from every teacher that student has. So weekly communication, and just put everything in that weekly communication, it'll make things better for them. Another thing that parents really need are how-to resources. So if you're telling them, okay, today help your child with metaphors and similes, you may want to give them a little guidance on how to do that. Remember, they're the teacher at home. You're not seeing the kids. The kids are at home with them all the time. So maybe, sharing some like 1-pagers or tutorial videos that can help them, or even creating a Flipgrid and explaining to the parents what you did that week and what to expect and what, where they can go for help. That would be really good for them to have. Explaining the why, like we all have, standards that we have to meet. We have our goals and our objectives. When the parents look at the Florida standards, the Florida state standards, they don't understand that. So by creating I can statements, where the parents can see exactly what the child needs to do. Like if they're learning about, voice in writing, the parents don't get that. So how can I make that into an I can statement to make it easy for the parents to see what exactly their child is doing for that week? And have multimodal communication options, because, well, let's face it, a lot of our parents don't speak, English. We have, just like our students have different learning styles, so do our parents. So we want to communicate with them in ways that have that multimodal, the multimodal components. So just in the chat really quick, what are some platforms that you are currently using to share with your parents? What platforms do you use right now to share with your parents? What tools? Okay, so Remind is a popular one. Okay, Edmodo, I see Remind, Edmodo. I see Google Voice, Classroom. Okay, Remind, how to Remind, and Class Tag. Okay.
Google Classroom. Google Classroom.
Okay, yes, some of you are using Google Classroom. Yep. Okay, so yes, I would try to find a single platform and use that platform, because you want to be able to communicate with the parents in that one platform, but you have to also understand that you may be sharing lots of resources with them that are, in different formats. So I may share a video, I may share a survey, I may share a PDF. But if I can share all those things in a single platform, then that would be great, because all they have to do is view it in that single platform. Versus, okay, I have to go here to open this, then I have to go here to open this, and then go here to open this. That gets overwhelming for them. So the 5 suggestions that I have for you for the familial continuity. The first one is to create a check-in survey, and you can do this like weekly with them, where you can share the survey with them or put it in a place where they can access it, and they can check in with you if they want that like private like support, right? If their child really had some struggles this week and they want to check in and share that with you so that you can give them some help, they should have access to a check-in survey where they can share these things with you. And that can easily be created. Like if you use Microsoft Forms, some people may use Google Forms, doesn't matter, but they need to have a place where they can share privately with you. And it doesn't have to be like on a phone call. Like give them the time to be able to access this whenever they want, so that they can fill this out at their convenience. Okay, so a check-in survey is good. And also a place where they can get after hours support. And I don't mean like a help desk. Think about like a digital kind of help desk. You're going to provide them with resources, like a bank of resources where they can access it anytime. And this could be in the form of video tutorials and one-pagers. So there's the K-12 platform that's being used, the My School Online, and then there's Microsoft Teams that's being used, and then there's other things that's being used. Well, what if you had, in this example, this is a OneNote notebook. What if you had a OneNote notebook that had had sections, help resources, tutorial videos, training one-pagers, all of these things here where parents could click on them and access help tutorials that will help them help their child. They don't have to flood your emails asking for stuff. They can just go here because you've loaded it with the things that they'll need when they need it, and they have 24 hours of access to it. Okay, so some sort of after-hours support, some bank of resources that they can go to, and of course, being available for virtual office hours. You can use, it's up to you. You choose what you use, but you can schedule with, your Outlook session, conferences using Microsoft Teams, Zoom. It doesn't matter, but you can schedule this time where parents can join these virtual office hours with you and get that support that they need. So maybe like allotting 1 or 2 hours a week where parents know you're definitely going to be available and open from 8:30 to 10:30 every Wednesday in the morning. I can pop into this virtual office hours and ask quick questions because I know that teacher will be available. Can everyone please mute, because I'm seeing in the chat that there's some background noise. So if you all don't mind, let me go ahead and mute all. Okay, I think that should be better. Thank you for letting me know in the chat. Okay, all right, so virtual office hours and a public question forum. This is great because the parents can help each other out in this aspect. So if you use an app like Flipgrid and you set up a topic where the parents can ask questions and then other parents can respond, you can respond. This is a great way to get them seeing what are some common themes, common questions and answers that may have already come up. And the great thing about using like the Flipgrid is if they have a question and another parent had a question, they can go on here and see that question from the previous parent and the answer that was given, and they don't have to ask it. So it's like it's a public Q&A corner for the parents to have. So having that set up, having a private place with the forms, but also having a public Q&A corner using Flipgrid. Okay, and last but not least, utilize resources that you have from the community, and any resources that you can find to really support, because, you know, let's face it, the parents and the students are going to need support in these areas. Try to think of some of the things that we may have emphasized with our students as it relates to time management and organization. Especially now, they are going to need that support. So anything that you can find to share with the parents related to supporting them in this way would be great. But also think about free community activities and resources. There are resources available through the Microsoft stores online, and the Microsoft stores online, if you scan it there, if you scan that QR code, it's actually going to take you to this link. I'm going to just go to it really quick so you can see it. The Microsoft stores offer free virtual workshops and trainings for parents and students, and they just have to know that this exists. Okay, the virtual workshops are on different topics, from coding. They have summer camps for kids. All they have to do is just go here. Here are some of the topics that you can see. They just have to go here and sign up for it. That's it. These are all free for the parents and for the students to take part in. Okay, and there may be like local Microsoft stores. I know the stores are closed, but they're doing everything virtually. Everything is being done virtually. So they may offer additional support other than what you see on the website, like trainings for parents on how to navigate Teams, for example. So you also have mentor groups that are associated with sororities and fraternities. You also have children and teen groups that are associated with nonprofit organizations, and even youth groups with churches and other religious orgs. And they may host conferences, they may host activities that are free for students. They just need students. So really look into the community and see what's available that you can share. And a lot of these things, again, now are being done online, and you just have to find them. But these are some ways where some places that you can look to get these free resources to share with the parents. Okay, so think about the technology tool. Think about the technology tool that you really want to use to streamline, especially with the 5 things that I've just talked about. How can you use one single tool to streamline all of that communication for the parents? A single tool. My suggestion, I would have a OneNote notebook where all that information lives for the parents. It's not a class notebook. It's not a staff notebook. It's just a regular OneNote that you create and you share it with the parents with the link, the Anyone link. Okay. Okay, so let's take a pause here so we could take some questions. Any questions from the group? I see something in here. Let's see. Okay, so Nikki says that she's taken a few of those Microsoft courses virtually, and they're great. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. And I don't think that we'll be doing like a webinar on OneNote. Oh, Mark, what is OneNote? Mark, a note binder. So remember that breakout that I just showed you? So let me go back here really quick. Thank you for asking that, because it's a part of your Office 365 with Miami-Dade County. It's a digital binder. So in this digital binder, just like in a regular binder where you have these things called dividers, they're called sections in OneNote, you can organize your content in sections and then in pages. So you have sections and pages. So like that parent one that I showed you, it had sections and pages for each of those categories that we talked about. So like here, you could see it in this example. So you have announcement section where you could make those weekly announcements, weekly check-in. That would be that form that parents can access that form whenever they want to fill it out. You could put your office hours schedule, like, and the link to your office hours meeting, virtual conference, whatever that is, tutorial videos you want to share about different topics that the parents need to know, and other, other resources that they may need to have. Okay, so it's a great way to just kind of put everything together in one place and share that with the parents. And then you update it. When you update it, it automatically is updated and the link doesn't change. Okay, so that's what that is. Thank you for asking that, Mark. All right, so last part, emotional continuity. So this all, again, it's all coming back to meeting the child at meeting all of the needs, the whole child, supporting the whole child in the online learning environment. So emotional continuity is that SEL component that really gets overlooked in online learning and remote learning environments. That's what the research says. That's where it's really lacking for the students. We have to be able to incorporate SEL experiences in the learning tasks that we have for the students, in the lessons, in our meetings, even in our online meetings and our discussions, because the students really need those SEL experiences to build their skills, and it does trickle onto their academic skills as well. Okay, and so how do we do that? Well, first we have to think about the goals of emotional continuity. We want to be able to provide the students with a safe space. We want them to have student-to-student connection and teacher-to-student connection, and having a place to do daily check-ins. There has to be some kind of daily something that's being done with those students. If you're on block schedule, sure, it could be every other day. If you're elementary, it should be daily. Okay, what can you do to ensure that the children and the students have something from you consistently? Okay, so we're gonna think about some things that you may have already done with your students in a traditional setting. Write them down, because I want you to look at them and see how they can be changed by the time we're done looking at these examples, so that you can see how they can be implemented in the online class. So the first thing that I want to point out is the SEL competencies, the social emotional learning competencies, because this is what SEL is all about, being able to target these 5 competencies. Okay, so we have self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, social awareness, and relationship skills. How can you create learning activities and experiences that tap into these SEL competencies? Okay, and so think about what you have done and where they could align with the competencies that you see there. I'm putting this there, but you don't really have to respond, because I want to give you time to really ask questions, and I know we have to finish soon. But just so you know, this was a Padlet. Padlet is another tool that allows you to have that collaborative connection. So it's similar to the Nearpod Collaborate, where when one person responds, it shows on the board, and when the other person responds, it also shows on the board. So I'm just, again, showing you different options of tools. So here is an example. Oh, I don't have that many Padlets. Let's see. I want to show you an example of a Padlet. Let me see here. Great. So you see how you have different posts, and it's just as people post, it gets loaded, and it's just a great way for the students to see each other's thinking. But it also has a little reply button when you enable it that allows for students to reply to each other. So I think it's great because it offers that option as well. And that's Padlet. There's the free version and there's the paid version, just like there's a free and paid version of Nearpod. So just so you know. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about those 5 competencies and try to link certain activities that we can do that, align with those 5 competencies. So starting with self-awareness. Here's a fun thing that I learned in a national board conference that I went to a few weeks ago, a virtual conference. There's this thing called the mood meter. And the mood meter was created by Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. And they have this ruler program, and you could Google that. But the mood meter is a great way for you to like start your class, to check in on the students, right? You have your meetings with them, check in on them. So put the mood meter on the screen and look, it has all of the words, and each category is like tied to like a different feeling in terms of like from being very pleasant to being frustrated, right? And so you have the students choose a word, and then they talk about why they are feeling that way. Okay, so the mood meter is a great way to have a daily check-in, and that's self-awareness. There's also an app. There's a mood meter app that the students could download on their phone. It costs 99 cents. Remember, this is all like with the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence, but it can help them to be self-aware of their feelings throughout the day, because they could track their feelings throughout the day by entering it on the app. So one way you could kind of implement this is just by putting it on the screen and just having the students in the chat, share their word. But you can also, if you're familiar with word clouds, you can set up a word cloud and have the students respond with their words. And if any of you are participating and you either scan or you go to the link that you see there, a word cloud will take all the words. So let's say a student puts the word happy and 10 students put the word happy, then that word becomes bigger in the word cloud. So I want to show you, I don't know if anyone has logged into that. So let me see if there are any responses. None yet. So let me see, show responses. So I'm using Poll Everywhere for this word cloud activity. So Poll Everywhere, it allows you to do different things like polling. You could do open-ended questions. So I'm using the word cloud option. And so once you start typing in your words, once you start typing in your words, you'll be able to, there, I was looking for the full screen. When you start typing in your words, you'll see them appear here, okay? And the great thing about the Poll Everywhere is it could be done with texting, or you could just go directly to the site. So that's another tool that I'm just throwing out there. So anyway, going back to the mood meter, I really love just being able to start a class with the mood meter, just checking in on them, like, how was your day? What word describes how you're feeling today about this particular project that we have coming up. So it's a great way to really check in on the students. So really using the mood meter to address their self-awareness is tip 1. Tip 2 is self-management. Students need this in the unstructured learning environment that is their home. They're going to need that structure from you. So for elementary, highly recommended that you do morning meetings to really set that, set the goals for the day and give the kids a push start into the day. So a morning meeting can consist of, your greetings and your hellos. You're also doing some kind of lively group activity. Maybe it's a dance. You could use Go Noodle is a great site for elementary, Go Noodle, and also Cosmic Yoga Kids, I believe it's called. And then you share feedback. You can, this relates to whatever it is that you're talking about for the lesson for that day. And then you have some kind of goal setting message. And this can be having the students come up with their I can statements for the day. So this can be what your morning meeting consists of for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however long. But elementary teachers should definitely be checking in with their students and kind of helping them to develop goals in the mornings like this. Okay. And then for high school, you don't have to do meetings. You could do messages, and you could record them like on Flipgrid, for example, using the Flipgrid Shorts camera. You can use PowerPoint, the recording options in PowerPoint. You can use Microsoft Stream to record. But you should, have some kind of check-in where you're giving the students, their expectations for the day, clarification on anything that from the previous days, procedures for learning tasks, tips for success, and some kind of encouraging end. So having some kind of morning message check-in for the students would be good, right? So that could be what's used for secondary. So we're gonna hop right over this because I do want to make sure we get through everything here. Okay, so how many of you, before we even get there, how many of you currently do morning meetings or morning messages or morning check-ins with your students? You could just raise your hand, or you could just put yes in the chat. Okay. All right. Miss Garcia, how are you? Thank you.
Good.
Good. Miss Muller. Okay, good. I want to hear from you guys when we get into the Q&A part with how you are setting up your morning meeting, so we could get some ideas from what you're doing. Okay. Mindful moment in art. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. All right. So social awareness is another one of the CASEL competencies, and you can accomplish social awareness by having the students connect to feelings and emotions in what they're doing with the text that they're reading, nonfiction, fiction, bringing in current events. If you're teaching math, bringing in current events and having them, find connections with that. But you select your reading material strategically or viewing material strategically. Having them find relationships and feelings, not just in characters, but in the people, like if it's current events, or even in situations, if it's talking about something that has happened. So connections to feelings, relationships, emotional and emotions of people and situations. And then you want to do things that connect to the backgrounds and the communities of the students. So how are you tapping into their backgrounds and their communities with the content that you're covering? How are you having them relate? How are you having them find parallels to themselves and what they're reading or what they're learning? This could be in math, having them find real examples of math in their surroundings. Okay. And of course, activating their background knowledge, because bringing that in is super important. So that's how you can build upon social awareness, by using any of those strategies there. Okay. And of course, with relationship skills, having a place like a fun channel in Microsoft Teams where the students can celebrate themselves, celebrate their accomplishments, give each other praise, do check-ins like a simple birthday shout out. Having a place for them to constructively and appropriately share. You can have a place for them to do that. That can be done on a Flipgrid, or if you use Microsoft Teams, it can be done in a Microsoft Teams channel, and that will help them with that relationship skills competency. Okay, and then last but not least is responsible decision making. That daily those daily check-in prompts. I love the Rose, Thorn, and Bud activity. This one comes from Mindful Schools, but basically you can do check-ins where you have the students share a highlight, which is the rose, something that they were successful at doing in the lesson, or a small win, right? The thorn is a challenge that they faced, and then the bud is something new that came from that experience. So using that rose, thorn, bud framework to kind of structure maybe like your morning meetings or your check-ins, or having them be able to just respond to it in a discussion prompt is great, because it really does tap into that responsible decision making. So for you, I have a rose, thorn, bud reflection. So think about a highlight, success, or small win that happened with remote learning, online learning. Think about that. And think about a challenge that you foresee or have experienced, or something you can use more support with for online learning. And then think about what new ideas from today related to social, familial, and emotional continuity that you can take into the online learning that you're going to do really soon when school starts back. So this is actually just connected to a Flipgrid. So if you scan the QR code here, it's going to just take you to a Flipgrid. But I really want you to think about like what challenges you foresee and what support you need, And what's a win that you had during remote learning that you could carry over into online learning? And then, you know, what are some things that you're learning in not just this PD, but the PDs from like the district that's going to support you in that process? So take a second and you could think about that. You can scan the code, you can respond in the chat, but now I want to hear from you. So before I stop sharing my screen, you know, go ahead and you can use your silent note taking in the note catcher. I try to incorporate this so that you can also see how you can run an online meeting. You know, giving silence in an online meeting is not always bad, especially if the students are doing something constructive. Like if you do share with them like notes for them to take throughout the presentation. So building in those elements of silent note taking is not bad for the students to really take a pause and reflect on what you've said and now write your notes down. Okay. And last but not least, there is, so when I first started, I told you that I had been doing a lot of research and trying to figure out a way to kind of compile everything that I had been reading about remote learning and distance learning and online learning. And I decided that, like, I had started writing things down and putting things together, and it just got to be so much that it turned into this. So this is available on Amazon Kindle, but it's what you've seen in this webinar and more. Okay. And so with that, I want to give you an opportunity to share. So I would like for you to come off mute, and I would like for you to, well, first, tell me about something from this webinar that you definitely want to take back when you go into your online learning environment. So I want to give you a chance to ask questions and to share.
I'd like to.
And feel free to come off mute and just chat.
Hi. I felt that this was the most important meeting.
Hold on a second, Mark. For some reason, I cannot hear you. There's a lot of background noise. So hold on. Let me just. Okay. Go ahead, Mark.
For me, I think this was the most helpful webinar for me, because I feel that that is the heart of the learning experience, is the relationship with the students.
Yes.
And so I know my content. I know how to teach art. But to create these kind of relationships and create this continuity online is something I'm a novice teacher at. So I really appreciate the resources you provided for me to experiment with and begin. And the template is kind of there for me to follow.
Awesome. Awesome. You're very welcome. I'm glad to hear that. Yes, that social emotional component is crucial. It's overlooked. It really is, because we have been focusing on how to get kids to learn the content because they're going to be business learners, right? That's been driving everything that we miss as you want to share questions, comments, you know, anything, what you've been doing that's worked.
I really.
Hold on, Ms. Muller, hold on 1 second, please. I just want to say that Mark, thank you for those comments. We have a lot of other webinars that Michelle has led that you may find useful. They're available on our YouTube channel, and I'm putting that address up in the chat box. And also, don't forget, part 2 is on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. So she's going to go over more of this content on Wednesday. So, and Ms. Muller, you had a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment that what I will take back is the Skype in the classroom. I like to inspire my students to become writers, and the fact that they can listen to and watch some of their favorite writers is excellent. So thank you very much. I will definitely use that this year.
You're very welcome. Thank you for sharing. Ms. Ida, you have a question about how long it took me to create this presentation. So I will say a couple hours because, you know, I have to create the links, the QR codes, add the pictures, and do all the you know, the pretty stuff. But in terms of the content, I honestly just pulled things from that handbook I wrote. I wrote that handbook, like I said, because I had just been doing so much reading and trying to put these things together to share. And it just became so much. I had so many ideas. And so I just put them in that handbook. And I just said, you know what? This is, you know, this is something that teachers can really use, because I didn't see much that's out there, like for online learning and remote learning, because we're writing the book now. So I literally wrote the book now. So
I would like
Miss Emily Bossells. Hey, I know you.
I would like
guys
to
come off mute.
I would like to can you hear me?
Yes, Miss
Brian, I would like to endorse what Mark said, because for me, this is a lot of new information and it's going to take me a while to get it, but hopefully I will. And I'm going to tune into you again on Wednesday. And I do have some Microsoft lessons to do too. So for me, this was very good and eye-opening and enlightening. So I will definitely put into play the one that you talk about with the parent, because I know that's going to be a tough piece.
Yeah. I will say in the handbook there are hyperlinks, because it's a digital book. So there'll be hyperlinks to examples. When you click on it, it'll take you to some of the examples and some of the sites that I've talked about here, and tutorials and things like that.
Okay, thank you. Well, it was a great session. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you. We have more time, so I'm willing to answer questions, to show you something. If you want me to show you something that I've gone over, you want to see it slower.
You could go over the OneNote again for me. I would appreciate that.
Okay. Okay. So for OneNote, so you're interested in doing it, like, let's say for, oh, I have to share my screen, sorry. So let's say you're going to create it for like the parent, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me share my screen so I can show it to you. 1 second. Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to share my screen. I'm coming, sorry, folks.
That's okay.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll remind everybody that tomorrow is our first virtual happy hour at 4:30. Please join us. And we'll have information on our virtual Idea Expo teacher conference. So if you like what you're seeing from Michelle today, you'll want to register for our expo. We're having it over 2 days. You can register for up to 6 workshops, as many as you want, up to 6. And we'll have all the information up on our website by tomorrow afternoon. And there'll be more information on that coming. And these workshops are going to be for every subject area and grade level. And there'll be a lot of tips on how to teach content and how to, you know, they're just great new ideas that incorporate distance learning. So we'll have more information on that tomorrow.
Michelle, I tried, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried going on the note catcher link and it's saying access denied.
So
you need authorization.
there's a bit.ly link that I put in the chat. I'll put it again. Go to that link. If you try to open the Word
Yeah, I tried from the chat, the very first link that you put in.
Okay, I'll put it in the chat again. But someone asked me to put the results of the poll, and so this was the results of the poll. So these were the 2 votes that came in. And so let me show you OneNote. So what you would do is you would go to your Office 365 and you would go to OneDrive, and then you would create a new OneNote, because you're not creating a staff notebook, you're not creating a class notebook, you're just going to create a regular OneNote.
Okay.
Okay, so when you create the OneNote, it's going to be completely blank. And so this is where you can add sections and pages to it for your parents.
Okay.
So once it loads, it's taking a little time. So everything is blank, right? Down here at the bottom, you can click down here at the bottom left, you can add a section. So, announcements. And you can add as many sections as you want. And inside each section, so if I, let's say this is my home section, I want to rename it. So I right click and I click rename, and I'm going to click home. So inside each section, I can add pages. I can add as many pages. And then on each page, if I go to my insert tab, I can insert like any of these things. So like, remember how I had the form for the weekly check-in? I can insert that weekly check-in form. Okay. It'll pull from my forms. If I want to add a video, I can click link. Oh no, that's link, sorry. I could put a hyperlink to something. Where's the video? Well, okay, actually the videos will embed. If I actually just put the YouTube video link here, it'll embed automatically on the page. What I mean by that is, let me show you really quick. I'm just gonna grab this link here. So when I put the link, you see how it just automatically embeds the video. So when you add those YouTube links, like the parents don't have to like go outside of the application. They can play it and watch it right here.
Okay.
You can add pictures, tables. You can even add like a voice message. So remember how we talked about multimodal content? You can add your voice here. One thing I do like about the OneNote is, say you have, let me just grab something from the PowerPoint with text. Actually, let me go here and just grab this. I want to show you possibilities, right? It's all about possibilities. If I have text here on a page, as the parent, I can use what's called the immersive reader, which is built into the OneNote. And I can go over here to the right. I can translate. Let me just do. I'll go to Spanish. I can translate the entire document, whatever was on that page.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have, little things that are built in. That's why I recommend the OneNote, because there's little things that are built into it that are going to be helpful in the long run for the parents.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, what else?
Well, the other question I was going to ask, you answered it in there because you put the video.
Okay.
So that's my questions.
Okay. Miss Bryan, I'm also from Jamaica.
You are? Well, hello, homegirl.
All right. You guys have anything you want to share? What's the one thing from today's presentation that you know for sure you're going to use? You could put it in the chat or you could come off mute and call it out. Yes, Emma, you can insert a picture with Office Lens, absolutely, because it's all part of your Office 365. So yep, you take a picture with Office Lens and you choose the OneNote and it will go into the OneNote. Yep. Office Lens is another application if you're looking for like a scanner. Office Lens is an option, like especially for the students if they're doing, like for you, Mark, for art. So let's say the students drew their artwork and they want to take a picture and send it to you. Yeah, Office Lens.
That's the way to do it then.
Yep, you check out Office Lens, Mark. You're gonna love that and share that with your students because it'll allow them to take pictures and it crops it nicely. It could convert it to PDF or, you know, add it to their OneDrive, put it in a OneNote.
Can I send that picture that they post, let's say, to post it for the parent or to an administrator or things like that?
Yeah, they're going to share it to you however you are collecting the information. And when they share it to you, you'll get it as a file. So from there, you could do whatever you'd like with it.
Your exhibitions and things with that. That's awesome.
I think what would be really great for you would be using Padlet because they can post their artwork on a Padlet and you could do like a digital gallery walk or a digital exhibition using Padlet. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then with the Padlet, they can reply to each other and give each other feedback on each other's artwork.
One more question. Do you have a consulting service if we need help along the way?
Good question, Mark.
Michelle's awfully busy, but
that's part of this support is that it's like, okay, I took your workshop, but I need my handheld a little bit. I'm a new teacher.
Oh, you're a new teacher. Okay.
But I'm not new. I'm new to this.
Right. Gotcha.
I'm an old teacher new to this.
So I see a couple other hands up. Are there still more questions or are those old hands raised?
Not sure, but feel free to come off mute, guys. Emily, no, this is not a real background. This is not my house, not with white furniture like that.
So listen, guys, so we're going to have another series of webinars coming. And again, go to our YouTube channel because you can see all of the ones that Michelle did when schools closed in the spring and everybody was panicking. We got so many emails from teachers thanking us for those contents because we even got one from a teacher who said we literally saved her job because she had no idea what she was doing with teaching remotely. So if you need help, if you're a math teacher, we have the whiteboard webinar that's up on our YouTube channel. That whiteboard was very helpful. We got a lot of people with that one. What are some of the other ones we did, Michelle?
Oh, I mean, we did, so many topics.
How to schedule meetings and how to use forms.
How to collaborate in quiz. Yeah, we did a lot. Thank you all for the comments. But maybe Audrey, you and I could talk offline, maybe having some, we'll talk Audrey, for support.
Sure. But I just want to, again, I'm putting in the chat box, that's the registration link to our virtual happy hour tomorrow. We have some prizes and we'll have some announcements. And it's just a nice icebreaker for back to school if you want to join us. We'll have more webinars coming up with Michelle and with others. Also, we have coming up Edpuzzle. We have one that is specifically doing Edpuzzle and Canva so that you can create your own graphics and logos. And we have one that is going to cover all of the elements of Khan Academy, because I think a lot of people, Khan Academy is kind of deep. There are a lot of layers to it and a lot of teachers are not using it. And it's there for you. So we're also going to offer one on Google Classroom, even though Google Classroom is not part of the district's preferred methodology. A lot of teachers still like to use it. So there just may be some things that will help you with Google Classroom that we will offer. But we'll have more webinars coming up. We have our Idea Expo coming up. So we're here with lots and lots of support that, as you can see, It's not like going and watching a PowerPoint, is it? You get answers to your questions in real time. So that's what we're trying to strive for you. I think that if you go back and look at the YouTube channel and see if there's anything on Michelle's, if you do have questions for her from any of those past webinars, I'm sure she'd be happy to answer those for you when you come back, you know, next week in that one. And don't forget our happy hour tomorrow. Happy hour is from 4:30 to 5:30, and we'll have more events. Just come by and say hi, and we're trying to especially welcome all the new teachers. I spent past 4 days at new teacher orientation. Do we have any new teachers still here? Yes, Charles Smith, I met you, I believe. Yes, you stopped by my virtual table. So we had some great times. The past 4 days, there's a lot of new teachers, so we want to give them a nice welcome and make sure that they're getting the support that they need from their colleagues, because all you new teachers have to know you are entering one of the best school districts in this country. And I know many of these teachers right here in this chat room, and they are absolutely willing to help you. And so don't ever feel overwhelmed. You know, reach out. People will help you.
Absolutely.
I always say the only stupid question is the one you don't ask.
Yep, absolutely. And really quick.
It's great seeing you all. Welcome back to school. We hope to see you tomorrow at the happy hour. And for sure, come back on Wednesday at 4 o'clock for part 2 of this webinar. And if you need any help or questions, just email me and I'll make sure. If you have questions about today, we won't get this up probably until tomorrow. It does take a little bit of time. But if you have questions, email them to me and then I'll bring them up when we reconvene on Wednesday. I'll have them all in one place, okay? And again, you can always email me if you have any other questions about our programs. Our Ocean Bank Center is back open for free supplies. Go to our website. If you want to pass, it's all contact free. We're not letting people in the warehouse, but you can drive up, pop your trunk, and we'll put the stuff right in the car for you. So we have supplies for all grade levels. We're doing our best to meet all the needs, even though we're you know, it's a little bit different now, but you know, we'll get through it. So if anybody's resilient in this world, it's teachers, because you've already put up with so much. So yeah, you'll get through a pandemic. I'm not worried about you guys. So feel free to email me. The Ocean Bank Center, just go to our website and request a pass and they'll send you the schedule. I don't have that schedule. Mark, thank you so much. Mark Godinez, thank you for your nice words.
Hey, Mark.
So we appreciate you all and we'll hopefully see you all tomorrow.
All right. Thank you all. Hopefully you'll tune back in on Wednesday. And come with your questions. Even if you have questions from today, come with them on Wednesday. We'll have time to go over.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. If they have questions from today, they can email me now. So I'll have a list and we'll just run through those so that it's a little bit more organized. So it might take you a few hours to even think about what those questions are. So, or both. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And we'll see you tomorrow and Wednesday.
Bye, everyone. Bye. Take care. Good to see so many familiar faces and names.
See everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Hey.